Hola, Animigos, and welcome to Keyframers, the animated collaborative coding live stream where we bring imaginative user interfaces to life. I'm your host, Stephen Shaw, but you may know me as @Shashaw.
And I'm your host, David Khourshid, also known as @DavidKPNO.
Together we are coding compadres, animation amigos, Boolean buddies, and keyframe companions.
Yeah, so we're going to be creating a small animation from scratch live today using HTML and CSS. And, I guess some JavaScript.
Yeah, a little bit. This show is made possible by your support. You can pledge at patreon.com/keyframers or hit the like and subscribe buttons around the video. We've also got some additional links available below that you should check out.
And I guess this is the first time we're trying streaming live from YouTube. So we're happy to answer, or just kidding.
No, you.
Anyway, we're happy to answer any questions you may have. So reach out in the chat or comments, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch or wherever the heck that Shaw is streaming this. I heard YouTube.
Yes, we are on YouTube for the first time, which is fun. So let us know if this is a good live platform for you all, and we'll keep giving it a try. At any rate, if you're watching this later, watching the full video and are short on some time, you can skip ahead to the animation summary at the end of the video using the timestamp link for Keyflections in the description below. And if you're joining us live, hey, thanks for coming along.
Yeah.
So what's going on today, David?
This YouTube chat's working. Hey, Ayush, David KPN's fan from Reactive Flux. I talked a little bit about State Machines in there just because Little Birdie told me that, for whatever reason, State Machines were exploding. Not in the bad way, in the good way. So I checked out Reactive Flux, and there was a lot of talk about it, especially comparing, State Machines to Redux. I guess that's one of the original purposes of Reactive Flux. If you don't know, it's a Discord community where you could talk about React and RxJS and Redux and all that sort of stuff, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there a video from that coming soon?
No.
Not
at all.
All right.
Speaking of State Machines.
Yeah.
So we didn't really get any challenges from last week, but I sort of was looking around Dribbble, and I saw this really cool animation it's so simple when you first look at it, but then once you start looking at all the different parts and all the things that are moving, you realize that this animation is actually a little bit more involved than one would think.
Yeah, there's a lot going on that doesn't seem obvious at first glance. But there's essentially 3 states, would you say?
3 states. And so it's not like your normal toggle where you basically have 2 states on or off. You have that intermediate state of, well, in this case, please wait, where you're waiting for something to load or, I don't know, something to happen, and then your devices turn on.
Yeah, it's like there's a network, reaction needed. So you're toggling some kind of setting that it's going to the server to confirm and then reporting back on the status of it, which is something we have happen on CodePen a lot when some of the toggles that we make require kind of a server response.
Yeah.
So this is a nice way to communicate that yes, we received your input, but wait, let us confirm that everything is ready to go. Yeah. All right. Well, you want to dive right in?
Let's dive right in.
All right. So we've got CodePen collab mode ready to go here with basically no setup, a few
setup at all. I have an app thing in the middle. So now I'm thinking that and this is interesting, our button for toggling, it looks like a like your normal iPhone iOS toggle button. So you might think radio or a checkbox, but in this case we have 3 states, and I was thinking there's really no native element that could represent those 3 states, but there is the indeterminate status. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I have.
Viewers
Is it
watching.
Is it shipped?
I mean, it is available. It's been, I mean, it's well supported. I don't know if we're going to use it. I just found it pretty interesting. I'll go ahead and post it in the chat. Indeterminate checkboxes. There's a really good article on csstricks.com talking about that, where it's basically you're not sure whether the checkbox is checked or unchecked, which sort of makes sense for this. It says you can't make a checkbox indeterminate through HTML. I guess that sort of makes sense, unless you half click or something, which I don't think is a thing. You sort of wave around the checkbox and hope that it's like, are you going to click me or not? So you could set it in JavaScript by just doing checkbox.indeterminate equals true. And then I wonder if there's a way, this determines whether we use this or not. I wonder if there's a way to target this using CSS. Can you target indeterminate?
jQuery prop indeterminate. So it seems like it is an actual attribute that's on there, not just in JavaScript. But
oh wait, so you're saying that we could actually read the indeterminate status like using? Let's see.
I mean, it looks like there is. Let me inspect here on the example given.
Oh, there is. It's called the indeterminate pseudo selector. Wow.
Oh, it's an actual pseudo selector. Nice. That'd be handy.
You want to try it?
Maybe.
No. It would be pretty interesting.
Yeah. So
and since we're doing all of our click interactions with, we'll use a little bit of JavaScript. So we could say that clicking the checkbox doesn't necessarily put it to checked. It puts it to indeterminate, just like the example on the CSS tricks page.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it does have a. I wonder if you have to do events prevents default or something like that. Probably not. Oh no, you could just make it indeterminate. You don't have to prevent default or whatever. But let's try it because I am intrigued. I am very intrigued. So we're gonna give this an idea of toggle. Why not? Console.clear. Then we're going to say const toggle equals document.query selector, and we're going to get the toggle. So now we have to add an event selector. Where's our oh wow, it's right in the middle. You really can't see that. Let's see. So L toggle.add event listener. And if you're new, by the way, we tend to do a lot of our things in plain HTML, plain JavaScript, not even using Babel for whatever reason. Plain JavaScript and CSS flavored with Sass, just because that makes things 10 times easier. But otherwise, it's just normal CSS. There's nothing really funny happening there. Okay, so we have click, we have our event over here. And so we could say e dot target dot indeterminate equals true. Well, I'm just doing this as a test. So if we click it, it goes to indeterminate, and then you can't get it out.
We probably want e dot prevent default.
Yeah, I mean that's just to be safe. Yeah, that's fine. And what was that thing that we had again, where it's not e.target or event.target, it's events. Something target.
Current target?
Yeah, current target. So I guess that means the one where the event listener is actually attached to. But in this case, doesn't matter.
Eventually, we might need to change this to like a change event. Because we're probably not going to have the actual input being the thing clicked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. Okay. So let's. I'm going to add a label over here. So span.
Yeah, that still works on the change event.
I almost typed like Shaw instead of span. So that is not an element, by the way, the Shaw element yet.
I'm working on
maybe with your influence. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about setup here. We're going to click this. It's going to be in the indeterminate state. After a while, it's going to be in the check state. And so the interesting thing is we could derive this completely from that checkbox, I guess. So there's a few more bits to this animation that we could do, but I'm really glad that we could actually do this using the indeterminate selector. Oh, that's really cool. So on the Dribble page, I don't know if you noticed, but if you play the video, there's actually a sound when they're connected.
Let's see.
It goes da-da. Yep. It's a C, I believe. And then, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's very nice.
Mm-hmm. I dig it. Okay, so that's our label. Now, right next to the label, we're going to have a, what do we call it? Like, be semantic as possible here. Output. Or is it output or? Yeah, I think it's output.
Is that legit?
There is. Did you know that there's input elements and there's also output elements? And so the output displays the results of something. And in this case, we're displaying the results, at least in my mingled view of what this should be semantically. We're displaying the results of the states of the animation. So we had devices off. You click, it says please wait, and then devices on. So we could div times 3 that. So devices off. Please wait. Devices on. That should be a capital O or a 0, whatever we want.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we also, so in the label, I guess that's where we're going to put that, the big circly thing.
Yeah. We might want all of this to be a flat, like it all within the label here.
Well,
because if we're just using CSS, we have to be able to target.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Fair enough. Well, hey, in that case, this checkbox should be outside. Our fancy toggle should be in there because the output is not going to, I mean, it's still flat. So the toggle is going to be in here, like
all right.
Boom. Did it.
4 equals toggle, and then name equals toggle just for safety.
Yeah, I think so. By the way, the 4 refers to the ID for those watching. The name is for forms if we're doing a form, but in this case, it's not a form, so
yeah,
we're all good. Okay, so let's actually style some stuff. So display flex, I guess. Row. All right. So you're adding the circle, and we're going to be using a few techniques that we have used in previous episodes called the, are we going to use sliding layers? I feel like that's one of the techniques we could use. Another technique.
I think that's going to be too much here. I think we can just get by with animating the background.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing an animation anti-pattern, which we've done before and it worked. So we'll explain it. It's not as bad as you think. Not you, Shaw, but you, the viewer, watching on YouTube or Twitch or wherever we're streaming.
Toggle wrapper, here you go.
Cool. And so for this dot status, I'm just going to overflow hidden, display grid. I'm trying to remember your trick.
That's basically what you need. And then
gray area 1-1.
Yep, that's it.
Aha, it looks perfect.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that is what we want. So we could give this div data, whatever, data 4 equals off, then data 4 equals pending, and data 4 equals on. So our 3 states are going to be off, pending, and on, if that works for you.
Yeah, sure.
So basically when the checkbox is checked, or yeah, we called it toggle. Yeah, so if it's not checked, this is selector craziness, but it works. So if it's not checked, data 4 equals off. We're going to, let's just do display block for now. If it is checked, then the on.
Yeah, I'm going to disable our event listener here for a moment so we can just test that.
Yeah, and then for ending, if it's indeterminate, it's going to be display block. All right, so let's just see if it works. Did I do something wrong?
Likely. Let's see.
Yes. Oh, wait. We're not hiding them.
Right. So, right, you would do data 4, display none, which we don't want to use display none.
Well, now it's working.
For now. Yeah, I added it up by the toggle.
Okay, cool. So can we test it with indeterminate?
We can try.
Okay, let's try. They all show. Because it is not checked, but it's also indeterminate. So not checked, and we also had to say not indeterminate. Oh gosh. Okay, so that looks like it works.
Yeah. Sure.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so I could work on the state machine here if you want to.
Sure, I'll get started on just the overall styles here.
I like the circles.
Yeah.
Everything. Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we've got our fancy toggle here that we want to style. So let's get that down here. All right. Do .bg.
Okay. So we're going to be doing some more using data state again. And so we're going to be triggering those with, well, we don't need to use data states. I'm just, using it for reference, I guess. So let's see. Okay, so we have a device off, and then when you click it, we have to, I don't know, wait like 2 seconds and then have it go to the next state. So yeah, that'll be fine. Let's see.
Go.
All right. So let's see, transition equals state event. So switch state. So if we are in the off state, then this is going to be the simplest state machine ever.
I like simple.
Like as classic of a state machine as you could possibly think of. Okay, so on also we need our default turn off, like, because our only event is going to be that toggle. So that's why, so let's see, state or like current equals lab.dataset.state. Okay, so we could say current equals transition current, and we'll just call it type toggle. I mean, that doesn't really matter. So log current. Okay, try that. Okay, yeah, so it does work. We are good to go here, except you are highlighting everything.
I am not. There we go.
All right, so then we could say switch current. And so right now it's like literally just a string. So we could say case off. We could say e.target.indeterminate equals false, and
checked.
Checked? Yeah, okay. There equals false. So case, break. Case pending. Just like a class action lawsuit, case pending. True. Which I just got one in the mail for Yahoo. Apparently they had a breach or something, and yeah, they always tend to. So maybe I'll get $1 or $2 from that. We'll see.
200%. Do margin right. That space.
Okay. All right, maybe I'm doing something wrong.
Well, so it's happening on input right now, which we're,
okay.
I don't know, other than tracking click, if there's a way to do it. So on change seems to work. Kind of.
Sort of. It goes like between off and on, and
right.
But it should be like I'll console.log the current, like just what it should be. It says pending on off in the console, but it doesn't show that in the actual checkbox.
Right. So E prevent default. I checked true.
Which is why, worst case scenario, we could just use the data state instead of that. But yeah, it's fine.
So let's see. Let me change it to just click. Oh, clink. Click. Let's see how that. Well, is it checked? Checked should be. Yeah, I'm not positive that checked is the right one. Oh, it needs to be e target.checked.
Oh, wow.
That's part of it.
I got lazy. I think that is it.
Double target.
Target. T-target. Pair programming. Okay, so now nothing happens.
Yeah, because I did click. Let me see. On. So yeah, that's toggle. So why don't we just say L toggle instead of E target?
Okay. Yeah, we could just use
explicit.
Yeah, it's funny that's what we would normally do. I don't know why I decided to.
All right, let's see. Yeah, it's still nothing. Checked false. I mean, checked is it.
Should definitely.
Okay, properties that only apply. So checked is thing. Yep. I don't know. So we're on click there.
Let's bring down our send so we could have things happen anywhere. Oh, you know what? Let's go here. All right, so.
Okay.
What we could do. Oh, yeah, something did happen. Why does it
so maybe not changing the checked there and changing it to indeterminate. Let's see.
I'm also, just as a backup plan, I'm also putting it on the data state of the entire app. So we could target that, worst case scenario.
All right. Yeah, let me look at that.
So weird.
Read only. So maybe we need L toggle read only equals true. Okay. Yeah, still nothing.
Still nothing. Do you want to just go to data state? Because there might be some weirdness with how we are overriding the normal behavior of checked. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's fine. It'll simplify everything overall. All right, so we've got off, pending, and on. So I'm going to modify our targets here. What are you applying that to? The app?
Yeah. So I'm applying it to the app, and I'm also adding a data active for those divs over there. But
you really don't need that. But data active, data for. Yeah. All right. So let's say.
Also gave them a status text, and we're going to transition. Time for some animations. Transition. Translate 0.3 seconds. Use Alex just for now, just so that they could go in and out that status. And not if we're going to transform. Translate Y 100%.
Where are you? Okay, there you go. Yeah, we'll need to target a little bit more than that, but that will get us started.
Right. Yeah. Where's my code?
Yeah, where did those go?
They just disappeared.
It did. I didn't do it.
Oh, I think we're adding this display none, and that's what's.
Oh. Okay.
Aha! Yay! Except I'm not getting my transitions for transition, translate.
Yeah, it's working.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Is it sliding up?
No.
Oh, well then it's not working. Did I make them spans? No, I made them divs. They should be totally working. Oh,
I was about to say.
Oh wow, that is a David mistake there.
Nice. Okay.
Oh wow.
All right. So status text. Yeah, we've got all those. All right. So let me see. So let's do a few things. So data state equals off. We can do a couple things here. We can do our fancy toggle BG. You can do that as ground red.
I'm excited for this.
Okay. And then data state equals on. Do the same thing, but with green.
I'm going to do something new and ask for permission later. I'll show you if it works.
Okay.
Well, okay, I'll just tell you. I'm adding a data prev active just to say it was previously active. Like it was just active, but it's not active anymore. No? Bad idea?
I don't know that we specifically need it.
Well, I'll show you why. It's because when we're going through each of the animations, we want the one that was active and is not active anymore to slide up. Otherwise, it'll slide down. See?
Sure. I was just going to be a little more targeted with the actual selectors rather than getting complex with the JS, but.
Okay, so what would you do for that? Because I know we've done it a different way.
Well,
I just don't like it going up and down.
Right. So there's basically three positions. The off position is at the top. The on position is at the bottom, and then the please wait kind of varies depending on if it's coming from off or on.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's fine. We don't need to worry about
Because otherwise, you might get into a scenario like prev active on is going up, like if we're just a little more explicit about the positioning of them based on what it's for. So, right, we can say, all right, so data for is off. And did you leave in the data active? So, okay, did do that. All right, so let's see.
Uh-oh, did something break? Is that my fault?
Yeah, I'm messing with the CSS.
Ah, okay, it's your fault.
Let's translate Y. Okay, and then we'll do data active.
So we're doing the slidey thing?
Yes. And that going data active. Okay. Make sure you are triggering all of that on load so that we have that active state.
Wait, triggering what on load?
Just initializing the data state and the data active stuff. All of that needs to be triggered on load.
Okay, yeah. So let's see. All right, so you are using the prev state?
No.
I'm so confused. Okay.
But the data state and the data active stuff needs to needs to be triggered on load.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. So I'll make a new function for that. Function activates with the state, and so we're just saying L app.dataset.state equals state, and then we do our funny active stuff. So we could basically move all of this over here and then just say activates current. Right? So we could just activate current at the beginning. So now it should work. Yes. And nothing happens.
Yeah, it does not seem to be going to the on. So send type all on. Is that?
Yeah, I made it all on because over here it sends toggle, and we don't want clicking it again to yeah. So let's see, off pending switch event.type. Here, let's console.log the events and see what happens here. So device is off. Please wait. Oh, wait, it's toggle. Did I use set interval?
No, it's set timeout, but it's happening every time.
Yeah, we got a because it keeps going back to all right. So we want to send type all on. So send function, send event, and I hard coded that. I am very dumb. Okay, now it'll work. So you'll click. There we go.
Okay.
I mean, we have some overlapping text, but otherwise.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
Yeah. So I'm actually preventing an edge case with this one, since clicking it sends the toggle event instead of having the same events, which means you could just keep clicking it and have it just go back and forth between states because of that set timeout. I give it a new event, which is like this all on event, which is, you could just imagine this event coming from, some central hub or something saying, hey, all of your devices are connected. And so that's very different than the toggle events.
Yeah.
So that's my thinking.
All right, so let me get into the toggle itself. So we've got the background changing from off and on. So one thing we want to do is, let's add the data state equals pending. Do width. Okay. So what I was planning for there is sliding the container and the dot based on the state. So let's see, fancy little. So we'll do circle. Alright, just kind of need some transitions on those.
Let's try this. Color. Yes.
What did you do?
We're updating the toggle state on the the toggle container, but I also want to add it to the body itself, and that way we could change the background color too. Mm-hmm. So that's why I have a data toggle state and scopes, like just in case we have an app that sort of needs to go to different states, I guess. state equals pending. Should really use a CSS variable for this. And one more color. Let's see.
Hey, check that out.
Okay, checking it out. Or I'm toggling it out. Haha, that's so cool. You even got the box shadow in there.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work?
Our fancy toggle is made up of really three elements technically: a parent, that's this fancy toggle, and then the background element, which is what is colored, and then the circle. And so the fancy toggle itself is setting the width and height essentially. So it's 1em by 1em, and then with a little bit of padding to give it the area around the box. The background's position at absolute, and it's 1.75 times the width there, so 175%. And then there's a margin on the right side to compensate for that. And then when the status is toggled, we're doing some transform translating. So if it's on, the circle's translated to the right, so that it's kind of nestled in that side there. When it's pending, we translate the container over halfway, and then animate the width of the background so that it's only the exact width and height of the container.
So long story short, you are animating width.
Yes.
That's totally fine.
It could be done with sliding layers without width, but we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Like animating width it's not a terrible thing to do. You're not a bad person if you do it.
Here's a rule of thumb. If you think of the DOM, the HTML DOM, like the document object model, as a tree, which it is, you have all of these container elements, which could have elements inside of it and elements inside that. And then eventually you get to the smaller components, which are the leaf nodes of the tree. And so toggling things like paint and layouts and whatever on those elements are going to affect much less than if you were to, trigger some sort of layout change in a bigger parent element. So if you are going to animate width and height, do it on the leaf nodes. And I think that that's a more specific rule than avoiding it altogether. And that's exactly what Shaw's doing here.
Yeah. Right. If you isolate them also with like position absolute, kind of removing them from the flow, like our background of the checkbox is, then it's technically not affecting layout for anything other than itself. So animating the width there is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
All right. So got on, pending, and off. Ideally, we would go back to pending in between, because there's just a little, text glitch because of the way the CSS animation is set up.
Mm-hmm. Did we want to tackle the SVG path spinner?
Let me see.
How crazy would that be?
We can give it a shot. Viewbox 00 100 100, and then we'll call it after that.
Okay.
So circle, and we'll use our path length trick to make it even easier. So circle CX equals 50, CY equals 50. Just coding some SVG by hand here. It's honestly not that bad. Once you get used to the SVG elements. So let me nestle this inside of circle. All right, so we've got dot, and then so what we'll do is path length equals 1. And this will allow us to do a nice animation there. So let me see where is circle. Here it is. Okay. All right. So we'll do circle, circle. Target that, and we'll do stroke blue, fill none. Okay, and then we'll do stroke width 4, 5. Works. All right. And then we'll do stroke dash array 1, 1, and stroke dash offset 1. Let's see. What's the timer you did on that? 1,000.
Timer, yeah, 1,000. So just 1 second.
Yeah.
Which should be a CSS variable.
Yeah, it should. Feel free to add that if you want.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that.
All right, and so we'll go back down to our statuses here. So data state off, data state pending. Do let's give that a class of, I suppose, loader. Let's say loader stroke dash offset is 1. Make sure that
All right, yeah, so now it should be on the timeout CSS variable, which I have over there.
let's see, stroke dash offset. Oh, that should be, so let's see, 0. It's going to make it full. Maybe we want it -1. That's pretty good. So do this down here as stroke dash offset 2. Nope. Stroke dash. Oh, so we want this to be 0, and then we want this to be 1. So the stroke dash array and stroke dash offset. Stroke dash array gives you dashed lines, essentially. And if we use path length equals 1, that tells the browser that we want our path to be exactly 1 unit long, no matter how big the actual path is. And that makes it really easy for stroke dash array and stroke dash offset, because 1 is equal to the path length, so we have a dash equal to the entire length of the path, and then we have a gap equal to 100% of the path. And then with stroke dash offset, we can say where is this dash going to start. So by starting at -1, it's starting with the gap, so you don't see the stroke. And then we animate that on the different states. So when it's pending, we go to stroke dash offset 0, which gives us the full line there, and the on state gives us no line. So there we go.
Cool.
Yeah. And
so now to just add a color.
yeah.
Oh well, it's blue.
What? Right. What color does the animation do?
Yeah, it's the bluish. And so is that bound to the inside of the circle, or could it be on the outside?
So let's see. Margin negative. There we go. Just gave the SVG a little bit of a negative margin there to bump it out.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We in a pretty good spot with this then?
We are.
Oh,
we
hey,
are.
And you got the pending state?
I do, yeah, and
Nice.
I'll explain that in a couple.
Yeah, why don't we keyflect on that? Let me get that blue color really quick, just for completionist sake. Okay. Get out my trusty color picker.
There we go. I'm messing up your stuff. Actually, I'm not messing it up. I just saw the original animation and the blue is sort of on the outside. So I just did your negative margin thing.
Yeah.
Ask for forgiveness later.
Yeah, that probably needs to be M's.
Yeah. I'm just pixel pushing here. It's what we do.
Yeah. There we go.
Can we make it pop? Is there a way to make it pop? Or actually, how about the stroke width?
So it's got you have to balance that out with the size of the actual circle and things. Remember how we ran into that where we were adjusting the view box and doing all that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, that color really does not stand out.
It doesn't. Why does it look? It looks so much better in the actual video. So what I'm thinking we could do is make that gray a little bit lighter.
Oh yeah, right now I do not have a proper gray on that.
I changed it, but you're right. The color is still pretty terrible.
Yeah, where are you setting those backgrounds?
Right where you hard coded the green and red, and that's where I.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see the pending over here. It should be maybe like DDD for Dungeons Dan Dragons. CCC.
Yeah, not that light. Let's see.
I don't see the loader anymore, though.
Yeah, what happened? What did you do?
Nothing. Uh-oh. Where'd it go? Rotate -1M. I changed nothing, I promise.
Yeah, I didn't mess with anything there.
Well, it was there in our hearts for a brief second, and we will always remember it. The stroke, did you?
Yeah, so hold on. Doesn't SCSS... Oh, it's because it's a CSS variable.
Yeah. Yep. So with SCSS, you have to wrap it in an interpolated string in order to... It's one of the weird things about it. But otherwise, this is in a great place.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Let me adjust that gray again. Now that we have the blue in there. Let's see. Yeah, this is why HSL is really nice, to be able to adjust the saturation and lightness really easily. try
Yeah.
CCC again. Yeah, just a little bit darker than that. Yeah, that'll do. All right, cool. Yeah, why don't we wrap this here?
Sure thing.
All right. There we go. We're now moving into Keyflections, a quick review of the techniques used to build this animation. If you have any questions, ask us in the chat or leave a comment below, and we'll be happy to answer.
Yeah, and if you've enjoyed watching us so far, you could follow and subscribe here on YouTube or pledge at patreon.com/keyframers. And for those first-time watchers, thank you for joining us on YouTube and Twitch and wherever else we're posting this. Links are available below.
Yes. All right. So today's animation, loading switch interaction. This is a great example of how something simple really ends up having a lot of small elements to it. I can't get it to play again. Let me refresh, and there we go. All right. So yeah, looking closely at it, you can see how the labels move as you toggle, and the toggle itself is moving. There's a lot of little subtleties to it, and there's multiple states. For something like a checkbox, you don't think like, oh, I need a state machine, but this has a lot more going on under the hood than just am I checked or unchecked.
Yeah.
So real quick, let's. So we've got our app here, which is really just a wrapper for this little toggle, and we have a data state on there, and we tried doing it with the checkbox initially, but the indeterminate toggling, we were running into some weird oddities with that, and just trying to change that overall. So we're just doing a pure data attribute approach to it. We're not using this toggle at all. But we have a label that is our actual little toggle looking thing here. It's got a background and a circle with an SVG inside that circle, and then our output is based on that to give us 3 different statuses. So walk us through the state machine for all of this real quick.
All right, so not using XState, not using anything fancy, actually. In fact, I'm doing this as if you would do it even maybe without knowledge of state machines, or maybe a little bit. So we have our 3 states, off, pending, and on. And that pending state really throws things for a wrench, because what we want to happen is when we're on the off state and you click, it goes to pending. But when you finally get to the on state, you also want to go to the pending, because you're, assumedly waiting for all of your devices to turn off. So what I have here is a switch statement, and this is going to feel a lot like Redux if you're used to it. Just think of this as a reducer. So we switch on the states, and that's one of the main differences between your typical Redux approach and doing something with a state machine. So we figure out what state we're in, and in this case, I don't care what the event is. If something happens, go to pending, but I should really do like if the event is toggled, then go to pending. You get the idea. Now, this case pending, that's where things, sort of change, because now we have to determine what should the behavior be, as in what should the next state be, based on the event's type. So if we get an all on signal that says all of our devices were turned on, we should go to the on states. But if we get an all off signal, we should go to the off states. And so what we're doing is down in the send function, we're doing things, basically side effects based on those states. So in off, we're doing a whole bunch of fun stuff with toggle. It works, don't worry about it. In pending, this is the interesting thing. We have a side effect where we want to basically wait for all of the devices, I guess the smart home connected devices, to turn off or on. And we're just simulating that here with if it was on, then eventually turn them off, otherwise turn them on. And so we're sending that after a timeout. In this case, it's 1 second or 1,000 milliseconds. And so those events get sent up to that state machine, and the only events that could trigger that state transition are all on or all off. If anything else happens, like you click that button a million times, nothing is going to happen, or at least nothing should happen. Don't click it a bunch of times. See, this is what happens when you make a half-baked state machine thing. So I blame myself for not using my own library, but that's okay. I want to show you how to do it, but with by itself. So yeah, that's essentially how it works. We're toggling data attributes like we've done on previous episodes. We have that data active, data for to identify state nodes, or sorry, not state nodes, but the elements that are for the active states. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And it seems like a lot of code. Every time we do state machines, it seems like it's, this is so much just for toggling a checkbox. But this complexity exists within your app, whether it's explicitly written out or just implicitly through all these random little Boolean variables hidden throughout your app. It is loading, is checked, all these.
I actually tried to make it as tiny as possible, but that's a complexity you get.
Well, and that's the thing. Like once you start actually coding it through, you're like, oh yeah, well this is a state that it can be in. It can be in the pending state, and then from that pending state, it can go to another state. How do we tell it which state to go to? So there's all this event tracking that happens with that, and that needs to be in place. And for the most part, we've isolated like the actual DOM control to one spot, which you do that with React or whatever in a different setup.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that gives us a nice little little self-contained state machine to control all of this. Let me cover the toggle.
Yeah, that'd be quick.
Good. So the toggle, again, just showing you the HTML here. There's a fancy toggle with a background and a circle and an SVG inside that. So the fancy toggle is actually width 1em, 1em. If I add a border, you can see exactly what that element is, and that's what gives us the sizing of everything. This background element is actually 175% the width of the parent element, and we're compensating for that with the margin right to prevent the text from overlapping there, and whenever we are, let's see, where is that? Down here. So whenever the state changes, we're actually doing a few different things. So when we go to pending, we transform the container over 50% so that it kind of centers that circle there. And then we're animating the width of the background element, only the background element, not the container. So that there's really not layout triggers or anything too heavy happening with the browser, because this is position absolute and isolated. So we're animating the width of that BG so that it appears to only be around the circle. We change the background color of that. And then when we're in the on state, we translate the circle itself over to the side. So it's actually outside of the container now, but it's properly aligned with that background. And we could handle that in a few different ways. We could do this only on the background itself by translating it to the left and translating the container over. But this was a nice simple approach. And then that little loader stroke animation happening there is this SVG. So this SVG has a circle inside of it with a loader class and a path length that's equal to 1. And down here in the CSS, we've got stroke-array and stroke-offset. Those give you dashed lines, and by using path length 1 and stroke-array 1, 1, we have a full width stroke followed by a full width gap. And then we can animate that stroke in by using stroke-offset.
So simple.
Well, it feels a little strange at first, but that path length really helps simplify things a lot, and that works in Chrome and Firefox really well. And so when we go to the pending state, we do stroke-offset 0. That gives us the full length of the stroke there. And then when we go to on, we go to stroke-offset 1, so it fills out and makes the gap visible again, or the gap the only thing visible again. And that's pretty much it for the toggle itself. You wanna talk about the statuses?
Yeah, the statuses. We've done this in so many episodes, I feel, but we're using Shaw's trick where we have CSS grid. We basically have one cell of the grid, or I'm thinking in tables, but
basically, yeah.
Yeah. So the statuses container, it has overflow hidden, and that's what's going to give that nice masking effect for the text inside, showing in and out. And all the text is living in that one single grid cell using the grid technique, which is just grid area 1-1. And so when a status is active, it's on the screen. When it's not active, then it's off the screen. And we just do a transition of transform in order to animate them in and out. And Shaw did some magic here to make sure it goes up from the top or the bottom.
Well, basically the statuses themselves are in specific spots, with the exception of pending. That's the only one that kind of changes a little bit. But off is basically only going to be out of the top or in the middle. And so that's what this translate Y does. And then on is always going to be at the bottom unless it's active, and then it's translate Y 0. So that's kind of what we end up with here. And then the pending, I just change. So data active, and then the adjacent sibling selector. Move your cursor, David.
Sorry.
There we go. That adjacent sibling selector. So when it's after the active state, then it's translated down. So that's how the pending comes up like that. And then otherwise, it's translated off to the top. So yeah. Anything else?
I think that's all. Background animation done with CSS variables. So
yeah, got
that. That's all.
Very nice. Yeah, this is a cool little animation. I'm glad we got to do this one, and so many fun little pieces to it. So cool. Well, yeah, let's land this plane.
All right.
All right. You've been watching Keyframers. If you've enjoyed this episode and would like to see more from David and I, there are many ways you can support us. You can visit our merch store for cool shirts like this Keyframers one that doesn't show up on the green screen. You can pledge at patreon.com/keyframers, and that helps us out so much each month. You can also like and subscribe here at youtube.com/keyframers, and that really encourages us to keep going.
Yeah, and also we do accept submissions for future episodes. So let us know what you want to see next week or the week after, and tweet at Keyframers with any animations that you'd like to see made. And of course, you could always present questions or challenges on us that we will try to answer on the air. And please be sure to share this video and demo across all of your social platforms.
Yes. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. We've had a great time with you today. Until next time, adios, amigos.
Adios.